Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Litany of Catholic Martyrs for July 11th. As always, please pray for the families of those who were martyred on Easter Sunday in Sri Lanka. I offer this ministry, this mission, this devotion, so that people do not forget who the martyrs are and what they've done for the church. And there are two kinds of martyrs, as we all know. There's the red martyrs, which are blood martyrs, who sacrifice their lives gladly for the church, which are the ones I'll read about this morning. But there are also white martyrs. And I am going to read about one as soon as I find it here this morning, about a very special priest. He is a Father Von Treco, Treco, Father Von Treco, who was, he was excommunicated for inciting schism, which all he did was, actually he didn't do anything. He did what he was supposed to do, leading his flock. But this Bishop Lopes, who was originally from San Francisco. I know that Church Militant has done some background work on this guy, but there's something going on here. I think he got pressure from the Vatican because this priest, this Father Draco, is a very traditional Latin Mass kind of guy. So I think that this Lopes was being pressured by the Vatican because right after this priest was excommunicated, they closed the church. So not only is there no parish and all these parishioners who love this guy, who were interviewed and said that they thought his homily was wonderful. I think it was on the Feast of the Sacred Heart when the homily was. I'm not sure. But if you go to Church Militant, they have a whole thing about Father Treco. But this father, this priest, I bring him up because he's a white martyr. He did what he believed to be correct within the church, and he was right. He said some things about Vatican II, and not so much about Vatican II, but what happened when Vatican II was given the directive. They never should have done this in the spirit of Vatican II. And I will tell you, there was something when they changed the Mass a little bit, when they changed some of the wording in the Mass and things like that. They did that and that was 4 or 5 years ago, maybe longer, maybe 7 years ago. I can't remember what year it was. But that being said, when they changed the Mass, when the Vatican changed the Mass and how it was to be performed, and mostly the wording, not how it was performed, they sent over books, pamphlets, teachings, documents for a year to make it clear, this is what we want. This is how we want it this is how I want you to word the Mass. This is how we want you to say it. These are the books you're supposed to buy. They were very clear, very concise, very ordered, almost to the point of dictatorial, which is what they're supposed to be. Their job is to lead us to heaven, period. Lead us to heaven. Worship God, lead us to heaven. That's it. That's their only job. And in doing so, they must be crystal clear, just like Jesus Christ was crystal clear. There was no ambiguity in the Lord, and there should not be any ambiguity with the Vatican. But what they did with Vatican II was, when they said in the spirit of Vatican II, and it's in the documents, the Western Church read that to believe the bishops and the priests can interpret Vatican II any way they want to, and so now we got balloons and the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus in the sanctuary rather than the Holy Eucharist. And you got songs and you got dancing and you got all kinds of... You got homilies that don't mention the saints, that don't mention martyrs, that don't mention anything. And the Eucharist becomes an afterthought when they stick it in another chapel 3 miles away. It's very sad. So anyway, I bring up this Father Treco because... I didn't mean to get on my soapbox, forgive me. Father Treco because he is a white martyr. And he is a priest. Actually, he comes from the Anglican, I believe. Not Anglican, the Eastern Orthodox, I think. I'm not sure. I didn't read the whole article. I probably should have before I start shooting my mouth off. But read about him. Read about him and his white martyrdom. And I believe that we are called to do the same exact thing. We are called to be that kind of a martyr, to love the church the same way this priest does, this holy priest does. So, that being said, I'll continue with the readings for this morning's divine office for the Litany of Catholic Martyrs. So to begin at Rome, the Blessed Pius, Pope and Martyr, who was crowned with martyrdom in the persecution of Marcus Aurelius Antoninus. At Nicopolis in Armenia, the birthday of the holy martyr Januarius and Pelagia, who for 4 days were racked, torn with iron claws and pieces of earthenware. What they do, they break like jars and stuff and jab them and cut them with them, and thus achieve their martyrdom. In the territory of Sens, Saint Cedronius, martyr. At Iconium, Saint Marcian, martyr, who obtained the palm of martyrdom by many torments under the governor Perennius. At Syra in Pamphylia, Saint Sandeus, priest. In the time of the Emperor Diocletian and the governor Stratonicus, after suffering many torments, he was thrown into the fire, but remaining uninjured, he yielded up his soul in prayer. God, through his mercy, took him to heaven. At Brescia, the holy martyrs Savinus and Cyprian. At Bergamo, St. John a bishop, who was killed by the Arians for defending the Catholic faith. We hear about Arianism, but we don't hear how vicious they were. If you want to know how vicious they were, read about St. Athanasius and how they treated him and how they lied about him. At Cordova, St. Abundius, a priest crowned with martyrdom whilst preaching against the sect of Mahomet. Mahomet. Is that Islam? Mahomet. I have to do some research on that. And then finally, in the territory of Poitiers, Saint Sabinus, confessor. These are the men, women, and children who we honor today, the Church honors today, for their holy and living sacrifice of their holy blood for the sake of the Church. So goes the Church, so goes the martyrs. The blood of the martyrs are the seed of the Church. Thank you so much for listening today. Hopefully I wasn't too boring. God bless you.